There are 18,000 people on the known terrorist watch list let into this country under Joe Biden as suicidal.
Yeah, Benny, thanks for having me on, man. I've only been in Congress for 3 years, but I will tell you that this last week in Homeland Security, when Director Kent from the Center of, Counterterrorism here in the United States came to testify before us, he brought up that statistic and it made me sick to my stomach and it shocked me. 18,000 known or suspected terrorists in the country under Joe Biden, Benny. Many of us were screaming about this during the Biden administration, saying, don't do this. Please shut the border down, secure the visa program. These guys are not stupid. They saw it. We could see it. They most certainly saw it. They knew to exploit it. And now the data is 18,000. And I had Director Ken in my office this morning. I wanted to, ask him some more questions about this. And Benny, the thing that he said to me that, compounded the shock factor was he said, and those are just the ones that we know of, Good. Benny. Okay, and I want to remind you and your audience, it took 19 operators to pull off 9/11, who I will remind you shared the same ideology as these 18,000. I asked Joe Kent to unpack that number for myself and other members of the Homeland Security Committee, because I was expecting, Benny, he might say, well, 5,000 of them are, from ISIS, Al Qaeda, other jihadi organizations, and the other, 13,000 of them are, cartel members who are now considered, terrorist members because we just, classified some of these cartels as terrorist organizations. No, Benny, that's not what he said. He said there were 2,000 Afghanis, and then the other 16,000 were from jihadi organizations like ISIS and Al Qaeda right here in this country. And you know what else is scary, Benny, that he told me? He said, in most cases, we can't even remove these people until they commit a crime. Because of the way that the Democrats orchestrated that invasion and allowed many of them to claim asylum, they now have protection here in the United States until they commit a crime. And he told me this too, Benny. He said, in many cases, even if they do commit a crime, we cannot send them back to their country of origin because of their asylum claims and because we have anti-torture laws. So many of these countries commonly torture their people. And so we're not allowed to send them back to their country of origin. And I just wanted to bring that up to your audience, Benny, because to me, this is the biggest story in the country that is not getting covered. Mm-hmm. Benny, I'm telling you right now, Americans are going to die. A lot of Americans are going to die. And this could have been completely preventable by not allowing these people in. And once again, Benny, it is death by Democrats. And I hate to make it partisan, but it is. And many of us were screaming and yelling, don't do this, this is foolish. And they wouldn't listen. And now in these briefings where these numbers are being brought up, you can almost see, you can look across the aisle, Benny, you can see all of them with their heads down because they know they caused it. And it is disgusting. And Benny, I'm going to tell you this too. I love Democrats. I love Republicans. I love independents. I don't care what your political affiliation is. I believe that we're all created in God's image, okay? These terrorists don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican or an independent. They don't. They want to come here. They don't want to assimilate. And they want to wreak as much havoc and kill as many Americans as they possibly can. And we have failed the American people, and it makes me sick to my stomach. And it's a slap in the face to every veteran like myself, who dropped out of school the week after 9/11 to go join the military, to go fight these guys overseas so we wouldn't have to fight them here.
Yes.
And you know what we were told, Benny? We were told that we will never forget. We will never forget 9/11. We will never forget what happened. Well, I'm going to tell you something, Benny. We not only forgot what happened on 9/11, but we've allowed it to get to this point where you're going to see a lot of 9/11s on U.S. soil because of this. More people need to be talking about this. More people need to know about it. And keep your head on a swivel over the holidays, because a lot of these people, they want to target holiday events, Christian events, Christmas events, and it makes me sick to my stomach.
We were covering the National Guard murders and assassination, terrorist attack, and thinking to ourselves just kind of through what hell we've created for service members like yourself who was deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, or just Iraq, and had to fight this over in these godforsaken hellholes, and had to fight this ideology, this radical Islamist ideology. And then what a bloody insult it is to you and the people you served with, and to those who never came home, that we imported it here so that they could kill easier American troops. And that is precisely what they did just blocks from where your office is in Washington, D.C.
That's right, Benny, because a lot of us are willing to go fight them overseas so that our kids and our grandparents and people in our neighborhoods don't have to face them here. But when you open the border and you open up the visa process to where millions and tens of millions of folks can come in to this country, I am telling you right now, Benny, it is a very scary time in this country. And if you are a Democrat or a Republican or an independent and you supported any of this, whether you are an elected official or you are a voter, you should be disgusted and embarrassed that you allowed this to happen, because it's so obvious, Benny. It is so obvious what is going to happen. And I'm concerned about homegrown terrorism. Charlie Kirk was a friend of both of ours. But these guys are the scariest to me. And if these numbers are right from the National Counterterrorism Center, which I believe they are, because Joe Kent was another patriot who went overseas and was willing to give his life, and his wife actually died at the hands of these folks. I'll believe a guy like that who understands how dangerous these guys are. I just left a think tank meeting with Homeland Security where they brought in a bunch of think tankers, a bunch of people who have never picked up a gun and gone and said, I'll fight these guys so you don't have to. And one of them had the audacity to question Joe Kent's numbers and said, well, I need to take a closer look at those numbers. Let me tell you something, Benny. Even if you reduce his numbers by 90%, you still have way more terrorists in the country than committed 9/11. Okay, so this is the scale of what we're talking about here. And a lot of people have been banging this drum for a long time, people that were willing to go serve our country and fight against these people overseas. And nobody's listened. And now a lot of Americans are going to die. And I hate to bring that kind of message to the American people on your show before the holidays, but it's true. So keep your family safe, keep your head on a swivel. If you can arm yourself, arm yourself. Make sure you know where your local police stations are. Yeah, and just be prepared.